Alright, hello and welcome everyone. This is Gump and this is my LMG Heal Tank build video. I really appreciate the support I got from my SMG crit damage build video that I uploaded about 2 weeks ago. That was a grinding build. I've moved beyond grinding and now I'm more focused on PvE challenge missions and playing as a group, especially with Incursions coming up. I think that this build is going to be very viable for that. I'm assuming that that's going to be much harder and it's going to require some really solid healers and it's going to require some tanking. And it's not going to be able to just be 4 DPS dudes or 8 DPS dudes just running through missions. I think that if you don't have the correct setup teams, that you're probably going to get your asses kicked in Incursions. I think that at least that's the way I hope it works, to make some of these other builds have some kind of purpose. And once again, it's an LMG build also, which is something out of the ordinary. Most people out there have completely written off the gun and said it needs to be buffed and this and that, but those are the people that play Call of Duty and don't understand the mechanics of this game and aren't paying attention to how to use things and don't play things like Arma and understand military games and understand what the purpose of an LMG is. And it's not supposed to be run and gun, blast a million bullets at your buddy and kill him when he's got an SMG 3 feet from you. That's not how the world works. And so let me get into the purpose of this video, and I'm going to pull up this spreadsheet here and let you start kind of looking over that in the background. This is what I'm using to theorycraft outside of the game. The purpose of this build is to be capable of carrying a team through challenging missions as the primary healer, as well as allowing teammates to focus specifically on their DPS by having enough HP and survivability to be the tank of the group, and to do our tanking abilities by drawing aggro to remove the need of the DPS to be worried about their health, maximizing their DPS, to crowd control and stun enemies, to keep them off of our DPS guys to let them maximize their DPS, to buff our teammates by giving them extra DPS through our damage buffs, and to increase their survivability and ability to maximize their DPS by giving them damage reduction buffs. Our stats goal are 100,000 HP and 30,000 skill power, and our firearm skill as low as we can get it. Okay? So, the gear that I'm rolling with as far as a gun is the M249 Para. That is a crafted gun that you can get with Phoenix points, and it does not require Division Tech, which makes it awesome. The focus of the gun is not DPS whatsoever. The focus of the gun is enormous magazine sizes, as big as you can get them, and reload speed, and to avoid any kind of damage perks that you can with talents and things, and make it all about the magazine size and reload speed if you can. Okay? And avoiding damage talents on our gear and gloves and things like that. The two of the things that I'll say about talents for gear: robust chest is something I highly recommend, and I'll explain that here when we go through the sheet. And item find increased by 25%. I'll explain that also in a second. The skills that I'm using: support station with ammo, cover with the heal, and a damage debuff, which we'll get to in a minute, and the talents I'll get to in a minute. So I'm obviously trying to get through this video fast because these videos can go a long time, but there's a lot of good content and a lot of good things that you can learn from this. So this sheet that I'm looking at here is what I'm using to theorycraft outside of the game. As you may have already seen if you're sitting here looking at it, it allows me to see quickly outside of the game in a spreadsheet exactly how many main stats, major, minors, and skill buffs that I get per piece of gear at high end and superior, and it breaks those things down into major offensive, major defensive, utility, the minors, and then it shows me actually the numbers of what I can possibly roll per gear piece, and so it lets me theorycraft outside of game without wasting all my mats just making and spamming shit and then trying to put it together later. So I come in here, I make my build, I figure out exactly what I want and how I want to do it, and then I go in and craft my gear, and I know exactly what gear pieces I'm looking for. And I try to roll and roll and roll and roll and roll gear pieces until I get enough stats that I can recalibrate something to create the perfect gear piece. So, what is the perfect gear piece for this build for each one of these gear pieces? And this is the way that I've come up to do this quickly. So we get one main stat for our mask. We're starting here on the left. Main stats, one main stat, one major, one minor, one skill buff. And so let me just lay this out there. For the skill buffs, I'm doing a mix of stuff. I don't think it's worth, like, I want to be able to run the same gear, and If I decide to use a sticky bomb, I have sticky bomb explosion radius or whatever. If I decide to run a turret, I have a little bit of turret on a piece. If I decide to run something else, I have a little bit of that. But I definitely have support station, and I definitely am going to have some cover on there, because those are my two main skills that I'm going to be using. But I'm letting other things just kind of fall where they may as far as what skills I'm going with. But I definitely want some healing station stuff on there, because my main purpose with this build is to be the healer. And so my healing's important, and the support station is always going to be on my bar. And then the other slots kind of maybe workable. So let's get going. Major, minor skills. We get one major. The absolute must is the skill power. It gives you 4,328 skill power. If we had to choose between that and, for say, a mod, which is a choice here, we can choose a mod and we can put skill power on it, and we'll only get about 1,400 skill power, so we're not even questioning the fact that we should be taking skill power if we're making a skill power build. What this also allows us to do, since we're maximizing our skill power by not taking the mod, is to be able to craft some gear pieces that are health, which is allowing me to hit the 100k health mark and the 30k skill power mark. This is vital. There's only two places that we can get it. It's on the backpack and the mask. We're going to use it on both areas. It's a huge number when you take into consideration of all the ways you can get skill power in a game. Going down, we have one minor that we get from this. We're taking scavenging. Scavenging has been confirmed to work on drops for gold gear. And item find bonus also increases the number of drops you get. So by stacking those two things together, you are increasing the gold items that you get in the game. And there's only two places to get scavenging. It's on your mask and it's on your knee pad. So I highly recommend taking it, because gear is everything. So we're definitely using scavenging on mine anyway. If you don't want to use that, use one of the resistances if you don't need any gear. But I want scavenging, and I highly recommend you want it too. The body armor, we get one main stat. We get to actually use 3 majors on this and a minor, and we get 1 skill buff. Once again, don't ignore the skill buff stuff. So with the majors, I am taking exotic damage resilience, protection against elites, and a mod. Notice that I'm completely ignoring armor here. Armor is not a choice because I'm using robust. Remember I said robust on the chest, 45% increased armor gets us to the 65% mitigation cap for armor. So I suggest that if you run a robust chest piece, you do not run a max armor build too, because you're completely wasting all these stats. You can get all these extra stats by one of these extra stats here by not running armor here. Now, you're going to be a little squishier outside of cover by not adding all the extra armor, but all you need to get to is 3,200 armor and then put on robust, and when you're in cover, you have 65% damage mitigation. If you're going to be a running gun person and you're never going to be in cover, which you're not going to be doing in challenging missions anyway, then you want to do armor pieces, and you want to get to the 65% damage mitigation. But we're running robust, and we're staying in cover, so we are opening up other possibilities for our gear. So ignoring armor the rest of the way. Exotic damage resilience gives us some protection against grenades, allows us to stay in cover longer. We don't have to get off of our cover because of grenades coming, if we don't need to. Protection versus elites, obviously we're fighting elites so 99% of the time. We get an extra 11% there, an obvious stat, and then mods. I don't think there's really much of a choice there else besides on the body armor. Backpack, well, wait a minute, we get 1 minor here. I suggest ammo. I didn't put it down here, but you get a choice between kill XP and ammo. We don't need kill XP anymore because we are leveled now. And so now we go with ammo capacity, which is one of our main goals of this, or large magazine sizes, firing lots of bullets, because like I said, with our LMG, suppression is our CC. Okay, instead of using skills for CC, we're using our LMG suppression mechanic in the game for CCs. Okay? Alright, so moving on to the backpack. Once again, skill power, it's the only other place we get it. We get the bigger bonus here for 5,757, which is actually higher than the bonus that you get if you ran an electronics backpack itself. That's how big that number is. Some people may argue to go with signature resource gain, but I suggest using the skill power. The signature resource is an awesome thing, but this number is enormous, and I just can't ignore it. We also get, with our backpack, 1 minor. I suggest that you go with bleed resistance, and then you have other options of disrupt, burn. Do what you want, but I suggest bleed. Once again, we take a lot of grenade damage. We're taking a lot of aggro. Enemies are attacking us a lot. because we're running a loud muzzle brake with 13% increased threat, and we're shooting a lot of fucking bullets, and we pull aggro a lot. It works. All my teammates said that they got shot at way less when they're playing with me with this build. Okay, moving on to gloves, which are the DPS king of the game, and we have LMG damage, which is an obvious choice. We have damage versus elites, which is an obvious choice over the other choices that we have. We only have one choice between defensive and utility. Notice that almost everything I have chosen has been defensive and utility until we get the gloves, which are the only two offensive categories that I use because I'm forced to. And I'll choose LMG damage and damage versus elites for obvious reasons, and then HP on kill, which is the only defensive minor or major that we have. We have no minors on gloves. Knee pads, moving on. The only thing that I say is a must, once again, is scavenging. This is the higher of the two. There's only two places to get it, once again, and the higher of the two gives you a 94% scavenger. Once again, that's been confirmed by the devs to work as we thought it did. Then you get two majors, and I'm recommending that you choose a mod. You can choose between any of these for the other one. You can choose armor if you decided that you wanted to be a little tanky or outside of cover, which wouldn't be that bad of a choice. You can once again choose exotic damage resilience, and then we have a mod here that you can choose from. So any of these will work fine. And let's see here. We got 3 minors here. And I just recommend that you choose whichever other resistances that you want to use, ones that you want to make up for that you don't have in other areas. The disrupt resistance is really nice because if you get disrupted in the middle of an LMG reload, it can be really devastating because it interrupts a long reload. And so I really like the disrupt resistance, and it helps with if you don't want to get disrupted while you're reloading your LMG. You want to switch guns if that happens quickly, because you're going to get killed. You're not going to have any fire going down range. So that's one of the ones I really like. Blind death resistance, not that big a deal. I can shoot through that. The bleed resistance, once again, is something you may consider. It's a really large number, 115% bleed resistance there. You could use it and move some stuff around somewhere else. So anyway, we get to the holster, which is the last piece of gear that we haven't talked about here. So on it, you can get 4 main things. You can get 2 main stats and 2 majors, or you can take 3 stats and get 1 major. That's why your backpacks look like the way they do, why they get 3 stats, because it's an option for you. So when you roll it, those are your options to take. So what I'm running right now are 3 stats and 1 major, and I'm taking the mod as my major for the extra. But I recommend probably with this build, since we're completely ignoring firearms, is to ignore the firearm stat, take 2 stats, which is health and electronics, drop the firearm stat. Don't worry about the DPS that you're losing there because it's not important, and end up using that actually to put it on armor. That's the one place that I do recommend just grabbing some armor maybe. If not, you could choose protection from elites, however you want to roll with it. Maybe even skill haste if you wanted to choose that. But I think it's probably it meshes with the build a little bit better, and it's probably a better way to go than actually running the firearm skill. But the firearm skill is giving us a little bit extra DPS, which we can't hurt. So you can kind of go anywhere you want with that, which is why I color coordinated these differently, and saying that the only thing that you definitely want to run here is some type of mod. It is nice to have mods because we can diversify our build on the fly. We can take mods off and put something else on, and we can change our stats depending on the situation, which is what I'm kind of talking about with the skills down here. I like to have like just different skills all over my skill build. So if I choose to pull out a sticky bomb and actually use it, because I still do a lot of damage, I do about 175,000 with this build with the sticky bomb if I so choose to. Like if we come up to a mob and I want to get a quick huge burst of DPS on a mob, I can switch in that situation and switch over to the sticky grenade and have some extra explosion damage or radius on it, right? So I'm going to be using different skills, like I said, and so that's the way I recommend doing that. And so now let's go over and look at my actual in-game stuff and talk about it for just a second and look at the skills and talent. Go up. There's no need to really go look at my gear. I showed you the gear that you need to try to go after. I don't have the perfect gear. I'll show you my stats, though, real quick of where I'm sitting at with my character. And I am at 94,080 health and 29,073 skill power with 70,000 DPS. Once again, the DPS is not important here. We're going to give our teammates all of the DPS that we need. Alright, so these are the abilities that I'm using. If we go over here, the skills, I am running the support station, and I'm going to make a really good argument real quick about why to run one of these other support stations instead of the one that automatically revives. The heal on it is 2,366 healing per second, and it automatically revives. This other one revives also. All the person has to do is crawl to the health station and hit F. So if guys in challenge missions are going to be playing together and in a group, and they're not going to be running off by themselves, and you're playing organized, there's really no need for the auto revive when you can automatically just revive yourself, and you're still pulling almost 1,900 healing per second. So I think that this is an excellent skill instead of using this other one. This also reloads our ammo, which is going to be really important to our LMG. This is going to be my mainstay for my skills. The other ones may move around a little bit, but this is the main one that you're always going to want to have with this build, because we're going to be shooting a lot of bullets, because like I said, our LMG is going to be our CC instead of our skills. And so I'm also running here, I am running Smart Cover, and I'm running the one that gives me the extra heal. I am the primary healer of the group. This build is capable of healing an entire group without them running any other heals. That's really important. So by doing that, we're removing their need for laying down heals, which are horrible heals anyway, because they have low skill power, they're high DPS players, they don't need to be worrying about healing themselves. We are the healer, okay? So not only is this skill allowing us to put another dot on them for healing, but it also is giving us a 50% damage resistance, which is far higher than they're going to give themselves by using this skill, a 40% damage buff, which is far higher than what they're going to be giving themselves, and we only have a 35-second cooldown, which is actually way lower than that when we get into our talents, okay? So these are the two main things that I'm running right now, and what I highly recommend is that you, instead of people running things on your skill build like stuns or whatever, stuns or a turret that stuns, is letting your teammates all run a CC on their skills, because they have low skills. And so the stuns still work just as good, it seems like, in my opinion. It works just as good for one of my teammates to use a stun. But if I use this, we do way more damage and get way more damage resistance by me running the skills that really matter, that get buffs, and let them run their CC skills. And then have a secondary skill for them doing the damage buff for themselves or whatever. And I think that's the best thing to maximize stuff for the group. Another important thing, I'm not running the ulti heal, and people may be wondering, why are you not running the ulti heal if you're the healer? Well, because my teammates aren't going down. My healing that I'm putting out is extreme. These skill cooldowns, I have these skills all the time. 100% of the time, these skills are ready to roll. They're on the ground all the time. Okay? And so they're never down. So I never need to use this skill, is what I've realized. So instead, I'm getting one of my teammates at least to run the healing skill in case I go down. That way they have an oh shit, our healer's down, revive our healer instantly, instead of them doing the damage buff themselves, which has a longer cooldown for them. So we're putting out more damage and nobody's ever going down, and if I go down, they can pop the recovery link. Okay, so I'm actually running Tactical Link, and I'm giving us the damage buff, the crit chance, and I'm doing it at a faster rate than they are, because my cooldown's only 500 seconds versus their 800 and something. Okay, so that's our setup. That's what I recommend you guys doing with the skills. This setup is extremely powerful. My teammates hardly ever go down as long as they stay close to me. They're getting huge damage buffs from me from this skill. They're getting huge heals, and we have unlimited ammo, and it allows me to keep unlimited ammo in my LMG, which is just awesome. Okay? So, over to my talents. This is the most important talent that you can have in this build. Heal an ally with a skill to reduce skill cooldowns by 15%. You'll notice that all of these things are group-oriented. This skill stacks from what I understand, and it definitely seems like it does from my playing with it. So this is the most important skill that you can, or the most important talent that you can have with this, because even when I heal myself with a med kit, I'm giving off, and I stack it with this, which gives me it gives me a 40% heal to my teammates when I use a med kit. So if I need a oh shit heal for my teammates, I pop my med kit, and then that increases my skill cooldowns by 15% per person that I hit, is from the way I understand it. And it definitely seems like that's the way it's working. So my 35 seconds is actually 60% lower than, or I don't know if it's counting for hitting myself, but it's at least 45% less than 35 seconds, which is what it seems like, which is why I have my skills up all the time, which is another reason that I use skill power on my gear instead of skill haste, because skill haste is not that important to me because I have so many things buffing my skill cooldowns actually in my talents, and that's been my focus and helped me maximize my gear and my skill power while still having extremely high skill haste buffs somewhere else. So here's another one that I use, Death by Proxy. Destroy a hostile's deployed skill to increase skill power by 20% for 30 seconds. So this increases my skill power up to 36,000. Most people are trying to get to 43 to be maxed at skill power. So every time I kill a hostile's deployed skill, which is a ton in things like Russian Consulate, right? So I'm getting 20% skill power for just deploying skills, and that also allows me to focus on destroying other teams' skill stuff while my teammates continue to remain focused on killing NPCs and focused on their actual DPS. That skill works great. All of this stuff works very well together. And then this is the other thing I'm doing, killing a hostile while any skill is deployed, which is all the time for me. I always have a skill deployed the entire time I'm playing. Kill a hostile while any skill is deployed to extend the active skill's duration by 10%. So that's still like a cooldown almost, okay? So this allows me to completely heal my group 100%. My team runs no heals outside of their med kits, and then they run their CCs, which are the weak skills that you need to be running. And then they can choose whatever other skill they want. As long as they all have one CC on, that increases their DPS, allows me to do all the healing and focus all of my skills and talents into healing and keeping them up and buffing their damage with bigger buffs than they're giving themselves. And they still get to use a damage buff, like Pulse, for instance, that they're using. So that's how I'm running this. I think it's a great setup. The overall build is just absolutely excellent. I highly recommend doing this. You can go look at the LMG here. Look at my it's only 69,000 DPS, but I've got 13% faster reload on it. I've got a magazine size, reload speed there. Here's the increased threat that I was talking about. It's just an overall just excellent build. I can't stress enough, like, you guys should go try this thing out. I can't wait to really get all my gear finished out. You can see that I'm running some health gear. That's because those stats and skill power allow me to do these things. It's just a wonderful build. And I've actually got a video, of about 3-minute video. I'll leave at the end of this video. You can watch it if you want. You can cut it off if you don't want to watch the actual gameplay of the video. But I'm going to upload a video of us playing with this build together so you can see this thing in action. And when you watch this video coming up, I want you to pay attention to the CCs that I keep talking about, because you'll notice the amount of suppression that I put down on enemies is intense with this gun. I have almost 200 rounds in my ammo. That's the number. You can get up to 199 with this gun. If you get a maxed out magazine, extended magazine. And I want you guys, if those of you that stick around and watch the video, watch the suppression, watch NPCs run for cover. When they're NPCs that were originally rushing us, run for cover. Watch NPCs focus me because of my threat and the amount of ammo that I'm firing at everybody, and just the whole build in action. And like I said, I'm going to upload a full-length Russian Consulate video soon, showing all of my teammates playing together and us communicating, and let you guys see this build in action, because that's the best way to show it off, because a 3-minute clip really just doesn't do it justice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys love this build. I love this build. It's great. It's good for the community, for there to be an LMG build like this out there, and for somebody to defend LMGs and be using them the way that they were intended to be used. You can see that I'm even using a purple glove right now, just because I'm like, I just want this build to be exactly, because I got LMG damage on it and health, like, so it helped out. So I've got a lot of work to do to get exactly the stuff that I was talking about in the spreadsheet. But either way, guys, here's the video coming up next, and thank everyone for watching and subbing, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Ask me any questions you want, and I'll help you out with making some decisions with this, because I've got some experience playing with it already. Thanks, guys. Come.